This is Strictly Business, presented by the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. Sponsored in part by the law offices of Young Wooldridge, San Joaquin Community Hospital. And now, here's your host, Cindy Pollard, President and CEO of the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome back to the Business Roundup. Today, we are joined by Jim Damian, who's the founder and CEO of Stria, an Inc. 5000 company that converts documents from almost any antiquated format to digital images and bulk imports them into any document management system, web portal, or electronic medical record, or EMR. Jim was born and raised in Tehachapi, California, earning his bachelor's degree in psychology from San Diego State University, so he can analyze why you want to keep the paper clutter around. And he has a master's degree in social welfare with an emphasis in technology from Cal Berkeley. Jim launched Stria after he couldn't quickly locate case files, which kept him from doing his job. He's joining us today to talk about taking your business paperless. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. So what exactly does it mean to go paperless?
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
And you know, I'll say we use the term paperless all the time, but I have to be honest with you. It's a little bit of a misnomer. It really is paper light. I mean, you and I are both technologically advanced people. I know how tech you are, and we both have paper this morning, right? So
that's right.
Paper's not going anywhere. But what we see in the industry and in the marketplace is people wanting to reduce the amount of time, energy, money that they spend on storing records.
Okay.
So it's for us, going paperless means it's as much a strategy as is anything, and it's basically putting your important documents online or in an electronic format.
How much, if there's a way to quantify, of an organization's paper can be put online or made electronic?
I mean, due to the regulations and the laws that have come out over the past 20 years, everything can go into an electronic format. Now, certain documents and records, especially in the medical side, have to be maintained or kept basically forever. But everything, if you have the right chain of custody documents, the right sort of backup documentation, everything can be digitized, and that can become the legal copy of a document. That's pretty cool.
Okay. So what does it take to go paperless?
It takes, that's a great question.
Or paper light.
Yeah, paper light. Well, it depends. Again, it depends who you ask. We've seen in the industry, there's sort of a recipe. Like every problem, it seems, in society today, whether you're trying to bake a cake or trying to fix your car, there's a recipe. Right. You go online and everything's got a list of 4 things you got to do. So going paperless is similar. At the highest level, it takes a couple things. Number one, it takes a place for these digital documents to live. Now, for some people, that's just on their desktop of their computer. Okay, great. At the other end of the spectrum, people buy these expensive and fancy document management systems. SharePoint, SpringCM. These are great, repositories where you can go in and basically it works like Google. You punch in your information, and the documents come up. So that's kind of one component. You also need some sort of hardware if you're going to scan paper. So a lot of people will either use a copy machine or a desktop scanner. And then kind of the other piece of the puzzle is some services. Most successful recipes, people are not writing their own software. They're not always scanning their own records. A lot of times they're buying some sort of services. So that's kind of the high-level sort of recipe, the hardware, software, and services that people need to go paperless, which is kind of a generic answer. But
so I've heard the term document capture. That's the software that you were referring to? Yeah,
the document capture is a piece of software that your scanner talks to. So when you scan let's say you're going to scan the piece of paper on there that has today's agenda, you might want to tag it with some information. You might want to tag it with the date, the guests' names, something like that. So that capture software allows you to do, at the very basic element, allows you to tag documents before they go wherever they're going to live.
Now, is that something that a company can do on its own, or do they need a company like yours or another to jumpstart and then maintain it on their own?
That's right. If Stria is not involved, it's hopeless. So we'll just put, no, I'm just kidding. This is not an infomercial. So lots and lots of companies, you can go buy what they call commercially available off-the-shelf software. And some of it's even free. I mean, some of the software that you can make your scanner, you can connect your scanner to your computer and run this software. you can buy it and learn how to use it. You don't need a company to do that, but a lot of people, to save the headaches and reduce costs, will partner with somebody like Stria or another vendor to go in that direction.
Is there a standard or a set of protocols or questions that you would want to ask yourself as you're beginning that process? And I would imagine that that's what a company could help you do. But say for little organizations that want to go Paperlight and they don't think they necessarily have the budgets to hire a company, what would that process look for them? What should they ask themselves, and things that they have to make sure they do in order to do it well?
Right. Well, the number one thing that we always recommend, and that the way we do it ourselves, start with the end, right?
Okay.
At the end of this, and when you're quote unquote paperless or the project's over, what do you want life to be like? What do you want? How do you want people to find the documents? Should they be able to do it from home, from their iPhone, from their tablet? Start with that, and then develop a series of procedures, that help you get there. I mean, that's really the way to go.
Okay. So at what point do you know it's time to go paperless or Paperlight? I mean, is there a point?
I think everybody has those moments, right? I mean, we've all experienced that in our personal life where you spend half a day looking for that one receipt.
Right.
So I think once you are spending time and you're getting frustrated, when you can't find what you need when you need it, it's time, because it really isn't. It's not a magical process. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of dedication, with or without a vendor, and you can start to organize your records. But I think once that you're starting to get frustrated because you can't find things for you or your staff or your own personal life quickly, it's time to do something, because the software and everything the costs are so nominal now. It's just it almost it'd be silly not to do it.
Not to do it. Right. Well, let me ask you a question, because this is something that we face internally, and I would imagine that there are probably a lot of organizations that do have the same challenges. You have gone electronically in some way, or you've got a network with a shared drive where you've got multiple people and multiple users of documents, but over time, with turnover in staff, sometimes documents are put somewhere where you're not really sure where they're put.
Oh, yeah.
Does the Paperlight process or document management software or program give you an opportunity to unlock that mystery?
Well, I mean, there's a couple ways. To once that's already happened, the genie's out of the bottle, and your network is running wild, you can use basic search engines on your network to look for things. Even Adobe Acrobat's got a built-in search engine, so you could say, show me any document that has the word, contract ABC, and it'll find it regardless of where it's saved.
Where it is, right.
So that's at the tail end of it, that's a good solution. But to prevent that from happening, it all goes back to processes.
Right,
I mean,
because at some point, somebody's going to create a new document, and then the question is, okay, where in the world of this network do we file it?
Yeah. So we found, you can systematically solve the problem and say nothing gets saved unless we go through this software, and you have to tag it when you save it, or something as simple as every client, in our case, every client has a file, and there's these sub files and folders, and just have a structure. And if you document that and train people, they'll do it. People want to be organized,
right?
But what I think of organized in me, maybe resume.pdf. version 1, important, do not delete, exclamation point, where, that, and people have their own systems. But if we just publish a standard system, you kind of can cut down on some of that clutter.
Okay, so what are some of the benefits that come to business when they do have some type of a document management solution?
I mean, there's a lot. The number one most important and prevalent benefit is it saves you time. It saves you time, because now what maybe would take minutes or hours takes seconds to, basically what we say, Googleize your document. You type in the keyword and it comes up. The other is disaster recovery. I mean, once, God forbid, if a natural or man-made disaster were to befall any business or organization, it's tough to recreate records. So that's kind of a side benefit of going digital, is you have a copy of those records that if you needed them, you could go get that, even if the digital copies were gone.
Okay. So you mentioned that there are some software out there, even free, but what would be the average cost, if there is such a way to quantify it, of an organization going Paperlight? If they decided they wanted to start from ground zero and they were a mid-sized company, small to mid-sized company?
Sure. I mean, that's a tough question. Everybody's different.
Okay.
But if you look at just what it costs to store, I mean, you can buy a great plan on something like Amazon's cloud for $20 or $30 a month per user that can keep you well cared for. And if you're going to just have staff are already, the owner or a staff person are already filing the documents.
Right.
So instead of filing it in a filing cabinet, run it through a scanner and hit save. It really doesn't cost you anything extra. I mean, you can get scanners for anywhere from $100 to a few hundred to $1,000, of course, but a couple $100 for a scanner, a smart structure for your network, and then so I mean, you're looking at a very modest price for a small business to go in the paperless direction.
Okay, so do you teach classes for or provide consulting for companies that think they might want to go in that direction?
Absolutely.
You can help them get
if anybody,
started?
yeah, absolutely. If anybody's interested, we do a lot of just through our sales process for really free consulting, and we do lunch and learns.
Don't
no
say
cost.
free consulting.
Yeah, I know. My sales, my business partner who does the sales is probably
Screaming
cringing.
right
Yeah,
now.
so we tend to do a lot of consulting just through educational events, but we also have lunch and learns regularly that are no cost to educate people on what the options are. So yeah, Stria.com is our website, and people can find out about events there. But
so if they have questions and want to take advantage of some of this free consulting that you're not supposed to be telling about,
that's exactly
how can they
right.
reach you by phone?
Yeah,
or reach your sales guy by phone?
Yeah, we're always here. Stria.com, STRIA.com,
Okay.
and then here locally, 617-6601 is our phone number, and we'd love to talk to anybody that wants to talk about this or has an interest in going paperless.
Okay, and do you work out of Bakersfield? Because we do have listeners up and down the state, and then we also have listeners from outside of California.
That's right. I forgot about it. I feel like I'm so comfortable. I feel like it's just you and I, but hello out there in the universe. Even out intergalactic scanning, we can provide that too, Cindy, on other planets. So, no, yeah, absolutely. So
With your astronaut training.
That's exactly right. So Stria, we're headquartered here in Bakersfield,
Okay.
but we have projects that have occurred all over the United States.
Okay.
So, and a lot of our software that we help people deploy, doesn't matter where you are, we can help you. So, yeah, we're not exclusively limited to the Central Valley or even California, although this is home. We travel all over the country doing this sort of work.
Great. Well, we certainly appreciate the work that you did for us, and they're great chamber members as well. Thanks for being on the show this morning.
It's a pleasure, Cindy.
Great
Thanks for
insight.
having us.
And enjoy the rest of your week.
Likewise.
Thanks. I'm Cindy Pollard with the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce. We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. And when we come back, we will talk with Jimmy Phillips about some outside-the-box public relations ideas for creating buzz about your business and some of the things that he's done in promoting Gospel Fest, which is an upcoming event for San Joaquin Community Hospital. Stay with us. We'll be right back.